Hey everyone, back again for another deck profile video. And this is a deck I haven't touched in a long while. In fact, I just recently made a few changes on it. It's not too different from the original, but I kind of made this to more a low-budget, competitive level Dark Magician deck. So hopefully you guys will enjoy, and yeah, let's get started. I remember out of all the decks I've made, Dark Magician took me the longest. Not because it was too expensive, but just because I preferred Blue Eyes over Dark Magician. And then when a lot of the cards got reprinted, especially Princess Illusion Magician, I just went ahead and picked up more cards for it and, yeah, just built a deck around it. So starting off, we have 3 copies of Dark Magician. I prefer the original artwork, of course, just because, you know, it looks awesome in purple. And yeah, I have the original structure deck one, which shows it right here, by the way. That explains the color fade. But yeah, 3 Dark Magicians is definitely a must since it is Dark Magician. We run 3 copies of a Princess Illusion. So happy this card really dropped in price because I remember when it was $90. But when the reprint came out for the Legendary Dragon decks, I was like, okay, so you just buy a box, you pretty much get one for free. And I traded around some people to give me 2 more copies of it. So yeah, it wasn't hard for me to get at all. And of course we have 3 copies of Magician's Rod, which searches out any Dark Magician related spell or trap. Oh, and I forgot to mention, a Princess Illusion, by the way, you can discard any card from your hand, special summon her, and when she's special summoned, you get to add a copy of Dark Magician from your deck to your hand. So, and also she's also counts as honest too. Basically, if she's in your hand or in the field, you can either send her to the graveyard from your field to the grave. And target 1 dark or spellcaster type monster, and that monster will gain 2,000 attack or defense points, and the same way if you discard it from your hand. So really great card. Moving on, I decided to run these. I'm sorry. 3 copies of Chocolate Magician Girl. I don't like to play Allure Darkness in this deck just because I feel like it's a bit of a hindrance, and you don't really want to lose all your Dark Magician support cards. So I figured Chocolate Magician Girl was a better choice, especially if you open up with Dark Magician and her. You can discard Dark Magician, draw 1 card, and if she's attacked, you get to essentially bring back Dark Magician, and whatever the attacking monster was gets reverted to Dark Magician, and that monster's attack points get cut in half, and it's permanent, by the way. So that's why I run Chocolate Magician Girl. And I know Chocolate Magician Girl is starting to get a little bit more expensive, so I definitely pick those up while you can, because I know those are starting to become more sought out for. Next up, we got 2 copies of Magician of Dark Illusion, which I pulled from the I've actually pulled 2 copies of it in the same tin when last year's tins came out. But yeah, this card counts as Dark Magician while it's on the field and in the graveyard, I believe. Let's see. Oh no, just on the field. Okay, so disregard the graveyard thing. But anyway, if you activate a spell or trap card during your opponent's turn, you can essentially special summon this card. It'll gain all the benefits of Dark Magician. So if you have Dark Magical Circle out, you can essentially banish a card, and also whenever you activate a spell or trap, you can special summon a Dark Magician from your graveyard. So really great card. Definitely a must set too. Now I know what y'all are thinking. Why am I running this? But yes, I do run it. 2 copies of Dark Magician Girl. I mean, come on, you gotta run Dark Magician Girl. As I mentioned, this is a low budget version of the deck, so no, this is not Spellbooks. But I still think this deck is equally as competitive. But I like to run Dark Magician Girl just because, there have been instances in fact, you'll be surprised, I've actually pulled the spell card Dark Burning Magic a lot, and I do mean a lot. Even though I only run it at 1, which I'm thinking about bumping up to 2, it really helps, because if you have her and Dark Magician out, you can essentially wipe out the board. But Dark Magician Girl by herself, she gains 300 attack points for every Dark Magician in the graveyard. So, or Magician of Black Chaos, of course. So, if you did a mirror matches, you can boost the power of Dark Magician Girl a lot more, and yeah, she's just great. Alright, for the last spellcasters we have 1 copy of Palladium Oracle Mahad. Only just 1 because, you don't really want to open up with it, but if you draw into it, you can reveal it to your opponent, special summon it, and if it engages in battle with a Dark-type monster, its attack points become double, and if it's destroyed in battle or by card effect, you can special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So that's why it's really good. And 1 copy of the Sorcerer of Dark Magic. I know some decks are becoming trap heavy, but as long as this guy is out, he can negate any spell or any trap card your opponent activates, and it just requires 2 level 6 or higher spellcaster type monsters. So it's really not too hard to summon out, and trust me, you're gonna be able to fill up the board quickly. But yeah, Sorcerer is definitely good just because you want to get around pretty nasty traps because they won't affect you in the slightest. And as long as you can negate them before they're activated, yeah, you can destroy them. Alright. We decided to run... Well, I decided to run these. I'm sorry, I keep saying we for some reason. But yeah, I decided to start running these. 2 copies of Card D. It works especially when you're going first. Normally, I like to go second with Dark Magician, but if I do end up going first and I have everything I need in my hand, I usually start setting up, use it and normal summon my Card D, tribute them off, and then draw 2 cards. But when you do that, your turn automatically comes to an end. But this helps me get my extra draw power. And again, since Dark Magician is also a deck that's built to where you summon during your opponent's turn, if you can get everything you need set up, you're set. It's okay to go ahead and just automatically end your turn, even if you're left yourself wide open. If you have a Dark Magician already ready in your hand to summon with, like, let's say Magician's Navigation, then yeah, you're good. And finally, we have Electromagnetic Turtle, just for discard fodder, for Prince's Illusion. You discard it, you can use its effect later to where you can banish it from your graveyard and end your opponent's battle phase, so that's why it's pretty good just to run 1. But unfortunately, Electromagnetic Turtle's effect is only a once per duel effect. If it was like a once per turn, I would run it at 3. Just because, it helps get around, like, really powerful boss monsters sometimes. Alright, moving on to the spells, we have, of course, 3 copies of Dark Magical Circle. Whenever this card is activated, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal 1 Dark Magician or 1 Dark Magician related spell or trap. If a Dark Magician is normal or special summoned to the field except during damage step, you can target 1 card on your opponent's side of the field and banish it. You can only use each effect of Dark Magical Circle once per turn. So, yeah. You can only do this once per turn, sadly, but yeah, it's still a great card, and the fact that it helps you search the top 3 and you can rearrange the other 2 cards in any given order, that's fine. So that's why Dark Magical Circle is definitely a must. Alright. Next up, we have 2 copies of Eye of Timaeus. I know some people tend to get a little confused on how to properly use this card, but this card itself, I know it's worded kind of weird, but the way it actually works is like you have to have a Dark Magician out on the field, or Dark Magician monster, so Dark Magician Girl also works with this card. But you can target it, fusion summon, because this card itself will basically count as polymerization in any substitute for a fusion material. So yeah, like you can actually bring out Dark Paladin if Dark Magician is out on the field. So yeah, you target him, send him to the grave with the Eye of Timaeus, and yeah, bring out one of your fusion monsters. And yeah, that's basically how it works. But unfortunately, it does not let you use... you can't fuse while the monster is in your hand, so it has to be on the field. Unlike Fang of Critias and Claw of Pheromos, where they can fuse from the hand, Eye of Timaeus, unfortunately, is the only one that has to be on the field. Alright, so moving on, we have 2 copies of Pot of Duality. I know a lot of people don't use it all the time. I like to use it just because, again, you summon during your opponent's turn most of the time, so that's why I figured 2 was enough. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 of them to your hand, and shuffle the rest back to your deck. But you can't special summon. But again, not usually a problem, especially like early game. And then for the singles, we have, as I mentioned, I managed to pull this off a lot of times. Like, in fact, you'd be surprised. 1 copy of Dark Burning Magic, which requires to have Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl out on the field, and you can destroy all cards on your opponent's side of the field. 1 copy of Illusion Magic, tribute 1 spellcaster, and add up to 2 copies of Dark Magician from your deck or your graveyard back to your hand. Dark Magic Inheritance, banish 2 spells from your graveyard, add 1 spell or trap from your deck to your hand that lists Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. Thousand Knives, destroy 1 monster as long as you control Dark Magician. And Dark Magic Attack, which nukes the back row while you control Dark Magician. So yeah, really great cards. I only play those as singles, as I mentioned, but I do want to see if I can bump up Dark Burning Magic up to 2 at least. Alright, moving on to the traps now, we have 3 copies of Magician's Navigation. You can special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand, and special summon 1 level 7 or below Dark Spellcaster from your deck. And also, if you control Dark Magician, you can banish this card from your graveyard, negate 1 spell or trap on your opponent's side of the field until the end of the turn, but you can't use that effect on the same turn you first activated to summon your spellcaster, so keep that in mind. And then next up we got 3 copies of Eternal Soul. Now, this card is really good, but at the same time, it's a little risky, because if you don't have, like, Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, this card will not be safe. But essentially what it does is, like, once per turn during either player's turn, you can special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand or your graveyard, or you can add 1 Dark Magic attack or 1,000 Knives from your deck to your hand. But you can only use one of these once per turn, so... But yeah, it's a great card, because it protects your Dark Magician from being affected by your opponent's card effects. But if this card gets destroyed, or if it just leaves the field, you have to destroy all your monsters, which will leave you wide open. So, like, you'll basically be a sitting duck. So that's why Eternal Soul is a little risky in its own right, but that's why Dark Magician the Dragon Knight now exists, because, you know, you want to be able to protect that Eternal Soul. Alright, so for the last 2 cards of the main deck, we have 1 copy of Dark Renewal. If you have a Spellcaster type monster out, and your opponent performs a normal or special summon, you can target one of those monsters, and a Spellcaster type monster you control. Send both those monsters to the graveyard, and then you can special summon 1 Dark Spellcaster from your deck or your graveyard. So, really great card. And finally, we have 1 copy of Black Illusion. Until the end of its turn, all Dark Spellcaster type monsters with 2,000 or more attack you currently control cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, or cannot be destroyed by battle, and their effects are negated. Also, they're unaffected by your opponent's card effects. So that's, I figured, okay, like, just a one-off is pretty good. It's not searchable, but if you draw into it and you can set it and keep your Dark Magicians out pretty safely, then you're good to go. Alright, so for the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. This card becomes Dark Magician while it's on the field or in the graveyard. Your opponent cannot target spell or traps you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So they'd have to beat over this guy first, and he's at 3k beat stack, so that's why it's really good. Now that I think about it, he's got the exact same attack and defense stat as Blue Eyes White Dragon. Of course, we have 1 copy of Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight. Once per turn, you can discard 1 card and target 1 card on your opponent's side of the field and destroy it. We have Amulet Dragon, which if you banish every spell card in your graveyard, this card gains 100 attack points for each banished spell. And also, if this card is destroyed, you can special summon 1 Spellcaster type monster from your graveyard. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that card. And 1 Dark Paladin, which basically has the same effect as Buster Blader, but if not better. He gains 500 attack points for every dragon on both players' field and the graveyards. And if your opponent activates a spell, you can discard 1 card and negate and destroy that spell. And it is not once per turn, but it does limit to how many cards you have in your hand. So just be careful with that. And then for the Xyz monsters, we have 1 Ebon Illusion Magician, where you can detach 1 Xyz material and special summon 1 normal spellcaster type monster from your hand or your deck. And whenever a spellcaster type normal monster declares an attack, you can target 1 card on your opponent controls and banish it. So it's a really great card. And then we have Ebon High Magician, which essentially, whenever this card is also not once per turn, but you can detach 1 Xyz material, and then you get to activate any quick play spell or trap card directly from your hand. And also, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard by battle or by your opponent's card effect, actually no, it's only by your opponent's card effect. Okay, oh no, I'm sorry, you're right, it's both. But it has to be destroyed by battle or card effect by your opponent. You can special summon 1 Dark Spellcaster from your hand or your deck, much like Ebon Illusion. And then you get to destroy 1 card on your opponent's side of the field. So that's also pretty good. We also run number 42, Galaxy Tomahawk. Just because, you can produce tokens and it makes an easy first turn, or basically makes an easy Firewall Dragon. As long as you have the space for it, that is. We got 1 number 11, Big Eye, which takes control of a monster by detaching 1 Xyz material. Now this card was pretty good because this is one of the reasons why I like to run Dark Magician Girl also. Norito, the Moral Leader. He negates spells and traps just by detaching 2 Xyz materials and just requires 2 level 6 spellcaster type monsters to summon it. And we do run plenty of those, so trust me, it works. And finally, for our Xyz, Gaia. Just because, once one of these monsters lose all their Xyz, especially Naruto, if he loses all his Xyz material, immediately go into a Gaia. And of course, you can Xyz summon him normally using 2 level 7 monsters also. And it does piercing damage, so why not? Alright, so for the Link monsters, as I just mentioned, we run Firewall Dragon, which, yes, I do borrow this card a lot for my Lair of Darkness because he really helps out a lot in certain decks. And as I mentioned, pretty standard, Decode Talker, Trigate Wizard, Link Spider, and of course, Underclock Taker, which does a lot for you too. And that's pretty much it. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next video.